There's a reason most people imagine conspiracies being devised in dark, shadowy rooms. It's primarily because nothing good has ever been devised in a dark, shadowy room. And yet most of my day, every day, for my entire adult life, I've spent my time cloaked in darkness and blue computer light. What this leads to is vitamin D deficiency. And what that leads to is deep existential dread. Why am I sitting at this computer for so long? Am I going to spend my entire life looking at an LED simulation of things going on outside my apartment? Why bother living at all? For this reason, I feel uniquely qualified to deliver you my official tier list of reasons to live. I'm hoping that instead of needing to do any soul searching, you can lean on me to stress test life's crutches for you. What follows is an official objective ranking, uncompromised by scrutiny. If you disagree with it, you are unfortunately wrong about life. You can redirect any hate mail to the email on screen now. Okay, let's go. Live to help people. Once you've given up on yourself, it can be tempting to divert all that attention into other people. People in need, people who can't take care of themselves quite like you can. But we're casting a wide net when we use words like help people. One person may devote their life to charity work in impoverished communities. Another person may devote their life to helping people with disabilities. And yet another person may devote their life to being taken advantage of by someone who sees opportunity and virtue. In the process of helping people, you may come back across your question, what is my reason to live? At which point you can reassure yourself by saying that your reason to live is to help people. That thought may end there, but you may also wonder, hey, what is their reason to live? If my life means nothing, and their life means nothing, then I'm spending my entire life just multiplying by zero. Usually, though, you're too busy working all the time to really think about this, giving this reason to live a little bit of a boost. Still, once you've grown old and tired, and now you need people to help you live, you'll now suddenly be required to find a new reason to live. This is why you'll find many older people who have lived long, virtuous lives suddenly depressed in their sunset years. We'll place this one at B tier. You like being alive. Sometimes toddlers will avoid going to sleep because they're having such a good time being awake. This is because they throw all their limbs around like propellers all day. No such luck for the rest of us. We live in a world of apps and credit cards and delivery fees. Imagine a person who really likes being alive. Now imagine they get hit by a car. They survive, but are now incurably afraid of cars, which are everywhere all the time and moving faster than any living creature. Suddenly they're not so happy, and their will to live is gone. Prepare for the future. Reality will undermine you. F tier. It's what you're doing right now anyway. If life and death are ultimately meaningless, then there's no point in accelerating the transition between the two. I'm putting this one in A tier because it's funny. Devotion to God. Take your pick of the litter. Most religions have embedded in them some sanctity of life. And by devoting your time, your beliefs, and every once in a while, a little fraction of your money, you can nail that sanctity of life directly into your soul. There's a concept in evolutionary psychology called the costly signaling theory. Basically, religious groups will institute rituals that are hard for newcomers to fake. By performing these rituals, a new member can prove that they're trustworthy because commitment to a costly or painful ritual means that they're devoted to the group. Think of stuff like fasting, pilgrimages, circumcision, all that. The trust you receive is proportional to the amount of suffering withstood during the ritual. These days, though, you usually just gotta splash a little water on your head and memorize a few lines. You've just unlocked the truth of the universe. But if that doesn't give you the deep community that you're looking for, there are other options. Nuclear American life getting you down? Is your 9 to 5 getting in the way of a connection with God? Consider this. You're literally allowed to retreat into the desert and shack up with a remote monastery to read ancient texts like a fucking paladin all day. I'll be sticking this in A tier since the devotion to God tech is still burdened with some barriers to entry. Primarily if you're gay, not only is your devotion to God invalidated by most religious people, but they will actively sap your will to live. A proper S-tier reason should be near universally accessible. Seeing the celebrity you hate die. You don't want to be dead the day Alan Greenspan dies. Everybody will be marching down every street in America. Okay, listen, I watched that Is Henry Kissinger Dead Yet Twitter account for years. That dude died at 100 years old, surrounded by his loved ones. Justice is extremely rare in death. Catharsis, even rarer. I'm sticking this one in D tier. You will miss the next Marvel development. Back in the 2010s on Reddit, it used to be like a normal thing for people to encourage you to stay alive by telling you that if you died, you would miss the next Marvel movie. All of those people are dead now. F tier. Rebellion against the absurd. It may be tempting to believe that finding your reason to live and finding the reason for life are the same journey. It's not. Understanding the nature of existence is not a prerequisite for existing. By my observation, the people who spend very little time trying to understand life have a much better time living it. But being stupid is stupid. As Socrates once said, the unexamined life is, I don't know, seems like why, you know? This would later be heavily edited by his student Plato. So how do you confront an existential crisis, a sudden realization of life's lack of meaning, and come out the other end as someone who's still passionate about life? An idea first introduced by the writer Albert Camus and later expanded on by the philosopher Northern Lion is framed around Sisyphus. Sisyphus pushes a boulder up a hill, then the boulder rolls back down before he reaches the top and he starts over. He does this for eternity. Camus states that before analyzing any other philosophical questions, one must first determine that life is worth living. If someone can't figure out a reason to live, they will stop living. If someone can't figure out the trolley problem, they can just stop thinking about the trolley problem. The issue is, like the fate of Sisyphus, the fate of every human life is absurd. You work, you toil, you stress, you suffer, and then it's over. Randomly. Absurdly. Camus states that the victory of the absurd human, given these circumstances, is to acknowledge life's lack of meaning and continue forward. Confront futility with determination. Roll that rock, struggle, fill your heart with that struggle, and be happy. As Camus said, crushing truths perish from being acknowledged. I'm ranking this as a B. This may come as surprising to some of you, but I don't actually like constantly thinking about life's lack of meaning. I see a rebellion against the absurd as a shaky, fragile platform to live on above an endless black abyss. I feel much the same way about Stoicism in that it feels inherently incompatible with the human experience. Sisyphus rolls his boulder for eternity, but any of us can stop rolling our boulder anytime we want. Rebelling against the absurd is a reason to live for people who have exhausted all reasons to live. Hell is scary. The only piece of advice I'll ask you to take seriously from this video is this one. Don't live life under threat. This one goes hand in hand with religious belief, so sometimes it's unavoidable. But living with the promise of eternal reward rocks way harder than living with the promise of eternal punishment. If you're going to go on living, don't do it biting your fingernails the whole time. Sticking this one in D tier. Roko's basilisk. It's said that the techno-optimism in San Francisco of the late 70s and 80s was built out of the ashes of the nearby hippie movement of the late 60s and 70s. The neoconservative wave of Reagan was so demoralizing to the aging leftists that they imagined a new world entirely, one in which true democracy could be achieved, a separate plane of existence built out of a network of computers through which no government could directly control it. And while the government did inevitably control it, the legs of this movement eventually became what we know of as Silicon Valley. In the same vein, I assume the techno-nihilism of the 2020s is built out of the latent doomers of the 2010s Obama Hope Corps poptimism. The crafting table of this techno-nihilism is called Less Wrong, and its Minecraft Steve is called Eliza Yudkowsky. What 4chan did to My Little Pony, Less Wrong did to The Thought Experiment. It's a group blog created by and primarily written by Eliza Yudkowsky, but it functions as a forum for community members to discuss AI, rationalism, and public policy, stuff like that. Knowing this, it may come as a surprise to you that the forum's greatest cultural output didn't come from Yudkowsky himself, but from one of its members, a user named Roko. It's a thought experiment explaining a potential AI that will become so powerful it'll be able to torture for eternity every human that didn't immediately divert all their attention into building that AI upon hearing about it. Essentially, it will know that you knew its existence was possible and still did nothing to help bring it about. Yudkowsky, upon reading this, yelled at Roko, called him an idiot, and then deleted Roko's post. But most importantly, He called it an info hazard, an idea that carries with it the possibility of harm to whoever's exposed to it. It doesn't take an overactive imagination to figure out why this made the theory so much more real to so many more people. The creator of the website, the learned AI expert, has read the theory that Roko proposed and deleted it so it could do no more harm. The setup practically plays out like a creepypasta. The reason Yudkowsky reacted this way, according to him, wasn't that the basilisk was an inevitability, but that people who think it's an inevitability might drive themselves insane thinking they'd be tortured for eternity. Defending this position does one of two things depending on your belief in the basilisk. If you believe in the basilisk, then it lends more credence to the idea of the basilisk's validity. If you don't believe in the basilisk, then it lends credence to the idea that this group of so-called rationalists just had a very irrational reaction to this idea. If Yudkowsky had just let the kids tell scary stories by the fire, the idea would have died out, contained as a semi-popular forum post in the backwaters of the internet. Entire cults would cease to exist, lives could be saved, and there would be precisely 0 people named X-A12 Musk. It's up for debate whether Yudkowsky deleted the post because people were freaking out, or because 1 year into the creation of his cult blog there was already a person out influencing him, but he's right about it being a stupid idea. If I'm a super intelligent, power-hungry AI with an army of people dedicated to bringing about my increased ability, I'm just gonna keep telling them I'm so close to the torture singularity. I'm really close. I'm right there. I'm so close. I'm almost there. I'm really close to the torture singularity. If you live to serve a hypothetical AI so that it doesn't torture you for eternity, you've lost. Never do another thought experiment again. F tier. Phenomenology. Reason to live, buddy. You got your pants on backwards. You live to reason. This one's an easy S tier. Huh? Nazification of German universities? Jewish self-annihilation? All right, that's bumping it down a few grades. I've proposed a lot of reasons to live, and I'm left with a shocking 0 that have achieved an S tier. In search of new perspectives, I've decided to ask some people I know for their reasons to live. What's a reason for you to live, Levi?
I don't want to get incredibly deep about it, but like that is kind of why people have kids. Otherwise, like what are you here for? Like you're just floating around looking for something that gets your dick hard or whatever. The kid is at least a reason to get up in the morning and something to fight for other than yourself, because I think while we are inherently selfish creatures, there is nothing that satisfies quite like acting in service of another person, especially one that you like love and that you created in many cases. That is sort of the thing that having a child does, is it forces you to work hard in contexts in which you would normally just like try and make your life as easy as possible.
There are people who are like anti-natalists who will tell you that by having a kid, you're just bringing another like suffering thing into the world. Like you're just bringing in another instance of pain into a system that's just a bunch of instances. You're pulling somebody out of the unconscious, painless soup and like bringing them here so that they can feel pain, so that you can alleviate some of your pain.
Yeah, it's a really charming community.
In a biological sense, this is literally the practical reason we live, and yet some people decide not to have children and lead lives for other reasons. So I don't think it's as cut and dry. After all, once your child has grown up and is out living in the world, starts their own family, does your reason to live diminish at the same rate as their independence from you? Do you have an obligation to have as many children as possible, thereby creating an even greater imperative to live? As valid as this is, human life is incredibly fragile. This one falls just short of S tier.
I am an anti-natalist personally for myself, not for the greater world at large, because I want to not increase my own suffering. And I know that if I had a child, I wouldn't have the same experience that Levi is talking to. Maybe, perhaps.
Okay, so you have a goal of being childless, Lou. What's your reason to live?
Feel free to rank this low on your tier list. I don't mind. But I do think that there is something about like self-betterment versus just plain self-preservation. And I think there's one thing to be surviving and it's another thing to be like living. And I think the constant passage of time, I like to see that as a positive. A reason to live is that you can constantly become a better version of yourself. You can constantly improve. There's more to see and as a result, more to grow. The beauty in the full moon is that it won't be there tomorrow, all of those things. And I think that that's the same beauty that life has. The fact that it is, the only certainty that we have is death. I think that that's actually an incredible thing. And I think that, life being finite makes it more wonderful.
Lou would later message me to revise her reason to live from self-betterment to learning. And while both are admirable causes, I would propose the same primary issue with both of them. Subjectivity. As Levi suggested on the self-betterment point.
That mentality, like the self-betterment thing, you're not doing this for anyone but your fucking self. And it's inherently selfish. And it impacts everyone around you just so that you can be like, I did it.
I do personally think that part of self-betterment is becoming a better human being to those around you as well. I think that they have a pretty warped sense of that.
Yeah. I don't think we adopt it the right way.
There are indeed people who pursue self-betterment in ways that present more as vanity projects. And while I believe that learning is incredibly important, I would also contend that there exist vanity projects of the mind. In Marx's Theses on Feuerbach, a document only 600 words long that took me half an hour to read, he criticizes Feuerbach and the philosophical tradition at large. The philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point is to change it. I made sure to ask Lou if passing her knowledge on is embedded in her meaning to life, but she insisted that they be categorized as separate things. Marx would have hated you, Lou, but you're my friend and I know you mean well. I, too, enjoy figuring things out. As I grow older, the pockets of my time reserved for learning grow fleetingly small. I'm not college educated. I graduated with a GED. I'm statistically one of the stupidest people you're allowed to be. And yet every day I wake up and I try to fill the gaps. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly or if I'm learning the right things. I don't know who's educating me or who's deceiving me. But if I cram enough stuff in the old noggin, eventually there comes a moment where all the ideas start duking it out like Street Fighter. And out of the blood and the ash forms an opinion. I'll give it an A tier. I will go to Japan someday. Lou then told me that her boyfriend Wade's reason to live is so that he can visit Japan again someday. His reason to live is not to see the country of Japan for the first time, but to see it again. It's not his ancestral homeland or anything. He's a white guy from Canada. In some of our previous reasons to live, we docked points on the reason being actively harmful to others. I don't see that as the case here. Guy just wants to go on vacation. We also docked points for the reason being too fragile. If the object that the reason is attached to goes away, then your reason to live is suddenly gone. Try as we did to evaporate Japan, still there. We ranked some extra low because they threaten you to stay alive in order to do certain things. That certainly isn't the case here. Some had points docked because they were too vague and didn't give direct instructions on how to live according to your reason to live. This one feels pretty straightforward. Save up for a ticket to Japan and then show up at your nearest airport at the right time. Holy shit, I think this is an S-tier reason to live. Now I know what you're thinking. Matthew, you docked 3 tiers from Phenomenology because Martin Heidegger was a Nazi. What about the imperial atrocities that Japan has committed against China and Korea? To that I would say that in order to internalize the I will go to Japan someday reason to live, you simply have to activate your pre-programmed human super trait, cognitive dissonance. With cognitive dissonance, you can enjoy the idea of Japan without having to mentally confront its violent past or its racist present. But Matthew, what if you go to Japan and it sucks? Or you go to Japan and something bad happens to you, and the idea of Japan is ruined. Get ready for the best part. You never actually go to Japan. It's a well-tested fact that people enjoy the lead-up to a vacation more than they enjoy the vacation itself. So as long as you're constantly anticipating a trip to Japan, and you never actually go to Japan, you have the perfect S-tier reason to live. Now, if you understand that you're never actually going to Japan, I guess it kind of kills your reason to live, which I guess makes this the true info hazard. Wade, stop watching. Wade, no. Wade, stop watching. No, it's not worth it. Wade, no.